So, shall we start now? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is So Jung-ha. I'm now working for Jeju Peace Institute as president. First of all, I extend my warm welcome to the audience for attending this special session titled Korea ASEAN 싱크탱크 Summit. Particularly, I highly appreciate Professor Jang's assistance in bringing in the US students. Actually, only 5 of them remain, and so I hope that you can give the better scores to the students who still remain. And I'm very honored to be assigned to moderate this special session. Also, it is my honor to co-chair the session with Dr. Hernandez, a renowned and senior academic from Philippines. She is founding president and vice chair of the Institute for Strategic and Development Studies of the Philippines. She is also Professor Emeritus in Political Science of the University of Philippines, where she taught in 1964 until her retirement in 2006. She is a founding member of key regional Track 2 mechanisms, including Council for Security Cooperation in the Asia Pacific, the so-called CISCAP, and the ASEAN Institute of Strategic and International Studies. I also welcome and the 4 distinguished academics from ASEAN and take this opportunity to thank them for accepting our invitation. Let me introduce each of them. Dr. Ralph Emmers is a professor of international relations and associate dean at Rajatram School of International School, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. And Ambassador Nguyen Tu Hung was ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Singapore from 1996 to 1999, and Canada from 2006 to 2010. He is now working as a senior advisor for strategic studies at Diplomatic Academy of Vietnam. In Vietnam, the Diplomatic Academy belongs to Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And Madame Rahima Ima Abdullahim is the executive director of the Habibie Center, one of Indonesia's leading think tanks. She speaks regularly in Indonesia and abroad on matters related to Indonesia and ASEAN. We have one more panel from ASEAN, Professor Tan Shi Chen from RSIS, NTU. And thank you very much for joining us. And I also wish to introduce the Korean speakers. As a representative of Korean side, Ambassador Lee Sun-jin is with us. He was a career diplomat with outstanding achievement. His last diplomatic service was a Korean ambassador to Indonesia from 2005 to 2008. He is now lecturing in Sogang University. Finally, Ambassador So Jung-in joined us as keynote speaker. He is currently Korean ambassador to ASEAN. Before going to Jakarta, he served as Director General for Southeast Asia. I thank Ambassador So for traveling to Jeju to help ensure the success of this session. Before we begin the session, I wish to make a short remark on why we organized this session. Jeju Peace Institute took initiative in organizing this session in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the ASEAN Foundation. I was in Singapore from 2013 and to 2016, so I don't deny that my personal attachment to Southeast Asia motivated me to come up with the idea of organizing this session. More importantly, this session reflects our recognition of the growing importance of ASEAN to the Korean government and to the Korean people. It is my view that ASEAN deserves to be given higher priority to Korean diplomacy in light of ASEAN's rising global standing and strong bilateral relations between Korea and ASEAN. In this regard, I'd like to highlight the 2 points. First, ASEAN is playing a pivotal role in regional politics and economy of East Asia. Particularly, I emphasize ASEAN is playing a central role in regional arrangements such as EAS, ARF, APT, ADMM+. Second, ASEAN as a regional entity has evolved not fast but steadily, despite some skeptical views on ASEAN's future. The launching of ASEAN Economic Community in 2015 epitomizes this progress. I expect panelists to elaborate on what I have just said in the course of discussion on ASEAN. This session, titled Korean ASEAN Think Tank Summit, consists of three parts. The first, general discussion on ASEAN. The second, Korea-ASEAN relations. Third, role of think tanks and the evolution of ASEAN. So we'll proceed with discussion part by part. The first and third part will be chaired by Dr. Hernandez, and I will chair the second part. So before discussion of three topics, so we'll listen to Ambassador Seo Jong-in's keynote speech. Then I would like to ask Ambassador Seo to take the floor to deliver keynote speech. Ambassador Seo, don't forget that your time is less than 15 minutes.
I will try. He's the same family. He's very senior to the top. I was so I'm junior. Anyhow, I will try to be on time. And President Seo Jong-ha, Professor Caroline Hedman, and Ambassador Ethan Jin, and Ambassador Ong Yen-hung, and Dr. Amos, Dr. Tan, and Dr. Lima, distinguished participants, and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. First, allow me to express my sincere gratitude to the President Seo Jong-ha for his invitation and to his team at Jeju Peace Institute organizing this session. I am very pleased to be here with you all and deliver the keynote speech on the topics that are very close to my heart. I would like to begin my speech by highlighting some achievement that has been made since its establishment in 1967 in political and security area. This year, ASEAN celebrates its 50th anniversary of its founding. In 1967, ASEAN was founded by its original member state in Bangkok, Thailand. Since its establishment, we have witnessed the remarkable story of regional organization, originally founded with the intention of achieving regional peace and stability, later it went on to pave the way toward building a sustainable regional community. Over the past 50 years, Southeast Asia has not witnessed any conventional interstate war. Among the states, ASEAN has successfully promoted trust and confidence and contributed to the strengthening of cooperation. Its member countries. Not only has ASEAN achieved its success in Southeast Asia, but it has also initiated over the diplomatic and security cooperation in Asia Pacific by launching the ARF in 1994 and ADMM Plus in 2010. In the area of the economy, I do believe that ASEAN has produced more tangible outcomes than any other areas. With the political peace and stability in place, ASEAN states has focused on their internal economic development. During the course of the economic development, ASEAN states are convinced that creating a regional economic group would increase its competitiveness. To this end, ASEAN formed the ASEAN Free Trade Area in 1992, and by the end of the 2015, ASEAN Economic Community, we call it AEC, was launched. Now, ASEAN is the sixth largest economy in the world, with an estimated GDP of 2.6 trillion US dollars. Not only ASEAN has achieved its own economic success, but ASEAN also been the main initiator of broader regional economic integration, like I said. In terms of ASEAN's socio-cultural achievement, there are too many accomplishments to recite them all. Just to name a few, ASEAN state has attained their literacy rate over 90%. Also, now 1 in 8 persons in ASEAN are living under the poverty line of the $1.25 per day, which previously were 1 in 2 persons just 20 years ago. We have many more accomplishments than what I have described over the 50 years. As the ASEAN community is a work in progress, I have no doubt that there will be no shortage of success stories of the ASEAN working together toward a common goal. Ladies and gentlemen, knowing how successful ASEAN has been, now I would like to touch upon the achievement that Korea and ASEAN has made together for more than last 2 decades. In political and security area, Korea and ASEAN embarked on our mutually beneficial relations in 1989 when Korea was given the sectoral partner. Korea has previously focused more on bilateral approach toward each and every ASEAN member state. However, Korea gradually put more emphasis on ASEAN as a group. To testify such a Korea-ASEAN relations, Korea was elevated to a full dialogue partnership in 1991. In 2010, both agreed to upgrade our cooperative partnership to the strategic partnership. Since 1989, Korea hosted 2 Korea-ASEAN commemoration summits here in Jeju in 2009 and in Busan 2014, respectively. In 2012, 5 years back, Korea opened a dedicated diplomatic mission to ASEAN, Jakarta, in Indonesia. In economy, since 1989, Korea has focused on expanding its economic ties with the ASEAN states bilaterally and multilaterally. As a result, Korea-ASEAN FTA was concluded in 2007. Tomorrow in Seoul, we will have its 10th commemorative event. As a result, furthermore, the ASEAN Korea Center was founded in 2009 to promote trade facilitation and investment between Korea and ASEAN. In addition, we are in negotiation to further liberalize our current Korea-ASEAN FTA. With that, now Korea and ASEAN are very key economic partners to Korea. ASEAN is the top number 2 partner in trade and investment. To ASEAN, Korea is the top number 5 in those 2 areas respectively. With regard to our socio-cultural cooperation, our people-to-people exchanges have significantly increased as well. ASEAN has become the number 1 foreign destination for Koreans. The number of ASEAN citizens who are living, working, and studying in Korea is the largest among the registered foreigners in Korea. Korea is planning to open a dedicated ASEAN Culture House in September this year to raise Koreans' awareness on the ASEAN diverse culture and the heritages. Ladies and gentlemen, having discussed what ASEAN and Korea relations have achieved, now I would like to shift our sight on the future of the ASEAN by 2030. In political and security area, at the end of 2015, ASEAN officially launched the ASEAN Community. By 2016, ASEAN came up with its official plan that clearly map out the target of the community by 2025. According to those documents, the ASEAN political security community is envisioned to uphold ASEAN fundamental principles, shared value, and norms. Also, the community will be a united, inclusive, and resilient community where ASEAN citizens will live in a safe, harmonious, and secure environment while embracing the values of moderation and tolerance. Before fully realizing its dream, ASEAN will face with the known and unknown challenges. If ASEAN wishes to overcome such obstacles, it must uphold and protect its shared values and principles and norms. In dealing with external relations, ASEAN will do its utmost work to maintain its relevance and cohesiveness among the members. In order to achieve this goal, ASEAN must work together to create a strong unity among the members and uphold ASEAN's central role in external affairs. In economy, as the most prominent pillar of the community, AEC will always take a center stage among the three communities. Once ASEAN's internal economic integration deepens as a single production base, single market, the AEC will become a full-fledged global production basis around 2025 and 2030, 10 years from now on. As a result, it will become the fourth largest economy in the world after the US, China, and EU. Also, ADBI, ASEAN Development Bank Institute in Tokyo, predicted that per capita income by 2030 will also reach to 10,000 US dollars, 30 times bigger than now. In doing so, ASEAN intra-trade regional trade must be invigorated while keeping the work on expanding ASEAN middle class. But most important of all, to maintain its viability. In future, ASEAN must anticipate and accordingly transform the regions to serve as an innovation axis for the fourth industrial revolution. In socio-cultural area, before the community was launched, ASEAN had always emphasized that the ultimate purpose of regional integration effort was to enhance ASEAN citizens' well-being and welfare. ASEAN's future-oriented document clearly spelled out that the community will be people-centered, people-oriented community. However, ASEAN's effort for its citizens will require more work to be done. Particularly, ASEAN must urgently act on the issue of instilling an ASEAN identity and a bond among its citizens. If it really wanted to be a people-centered, people-oriented community. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to turn our focus on the future of Korea-ASEAN relations by 2030. In political security, considering the accomplishment of ASEAN since its inception, ASEAN's experience and knowledge on dialogue and cooperation will be a very useful lesson for Korea in maintaining peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia. At the same time, Korea and ASEAN will also be able to enhance its collaboration on the non-traditional security challenges. In case the two Koreas are reunified, the unified Korea and ASEAN will share a common interest of sustaining everlasting peace and stability in Asia Pacific. For this to be achieved, I am sure that the unified Korea and ASEAN should work together even more closely. In economy, with our political security secure, cooperation secured, Korea-ASEAN will also enjoy the mutually beneficial economic partnership in future. We will join our hand in establishing the global value chain as a way to grow our economy together. At the same time, our economic partnership must be a mutually complementary one. I do believe that our future-oriented partnership will help prepare for the widespread disruption caused by the fourth industrial revolution. Sharing our knowledge and experience on innovative economy will be key to our future partnership. If I may predict a future of the Korea-ASEAN trade volume by 2030, I believe that we can achieve our goal of the $200 billion by 2025 as our leaders agreed upon. In socio-cultural area, in the near future, one common threat that Korea and ASEAN will be facing is a rapidly aging society and low birth rate. Korea has been already experiencing these social transformations. We in Korea have been trying to prepare ourselves for these issues. Like Korea, some ASEAN members are expected to face those challenges as well. In order to address these daunting challenges, Korea and ASEAN should work closely with each other while Korea will be able to share its knowledge and learn the lessons to ASEAN. To this end, we need the expansion of the two-side people-to-people exchange and strong cultural bond. Ladies and gentlemen, having discussed the past achievement of ASEAN and Korea-ASEAN relations and the future of the ASEAN and Korea-ASEAN relations, now I would like to discuss how our think tank can play a constructive role for the future of Korea-ASEAN relations. Considering the nature of the track one, diverse stakeholders' ideas and views are not always represented fully. However, when track one tries to formulate future policies, track one must consider diverse ideas and views from various stakeholders. This is why the role of the think tank are very important. Since its founding, ASEAN has always sought invaluable advice from the think tank around the region. No one can disrupt the contribution and role of the ASEAN think tank on institutionalizing the ASEAN process. The formation of the ASEAN ISIS is a clear case in point. As ASEAN strives to reach its goal becoming a people-centered, people-oriented community, ASEAN must honestly reflect on their diverse communities' ideas and opinions. To do so, ASEAN Track must continue its close cooperation, working relations with the Track 2, like ASEAN ISIS. At the moment, we are faced with the never-ending challenges of uncertainty around the world. It is unlikely that this uncertainty will ever disappear. In fact, we can ensure that they will only continue to grow. Given this reality, Korea and ASEAN must prepare for this uncertain future and find ways to deal with it. In this regard, Track 2 entities from Korea and ASEAN should work closely with each other to provide actionable recommendations to their respective Track 1 bodies. For instance, drawing on ASEAN's experience and knowledge, Track 2 entities of Korea and ASEAN could begin their discussions on the future of peace stability in Korean Peninsula and Northeast Asia. Also, at the moment, other ASEAN-led mechanisms such as ASEAN Plus 3 and ARF have already had functional Track 2 associations. However, given the growing importance of EAS, we should consider a possibility of forming a Track 2 association under EAS mechanism. On the occasion of today's Jeju forum, at this session, Track 2 entity of Korea and ASEAN could lead the way to form the Track 2 association for EAS. Ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN has accomplished remarkable success along the way, just as Korea-ASEAN relations has achieved many successes, but due to the challenges of global uncertainties, ASEAN's success story and achievement of Korea-ASEAN relations cannot be taken for granted in future. In order to keep the momentum of the success in future, ASEAN as well as Korea must think out of the box. For that, I do believe that our track 2 entity can provide valuable food for thought for the track 1. Having said that, I wish you all the productive session and look forward to hearing your valuable suggestions and ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Sir, and I appreciate your efforts to meet my request for time limit. I thank you, Ambassador, for making well prepared and informative and thoughtful presentation covering all topics we are going to discuss. I will not try to summarize his speech, but I expect the panelists to make comments on the Ambassador's views on ASEAN and the ASEAN-related issues. Then I will hand over the driving seat to the Dr. Hernandez.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Since I'm taking the floor for the first time, I do wish to thank all of you for having an aging person like me join this panel. Thank you so very much. And also, I would like to thank Ambassador So for his very bright prognosis about ASEAN. We need ideas like that at this particular moment in time, because we're very much challenged by the work in progress, which is the building of the ASEAN community. Yeah. So we'd like to call on Professor Emmers first.
Thank you very much, Professor Hernandez. I would like to echo what you just said, and by thanking the organizers. It's a pleasure to be here in Jeju. I've been asked to do 3 things in less than 10 minutes. I'm very aware of the time. First, to give highlight the major achievements of ASEAN and to try to focus on its challenges. And finally, I will talk about the implications of Brexit on regional integration. So let me start with the balance sheet and starting on the positive end. And here I would like to highlight 3 points. Some of them have already been mentioned by Ambassador So I can save some time there. I think the greatest achievement of ASEAN over the last 50 years is ultimately summed up in one key idea: conflict avoidance. ASEAN has been very good at preventing interstate conflicts in Southeast Asia, and overall, to some extent, in also improving the climate of relations. So I think that's where you want to start if you're looking at what ASEAN has been able to achieve. A second achievement, which is directly linked to the first one, is that ASEAN has managed to develop a diplomatic culture, which is quite, to some extent, unique to Southeast Asia, and which you don't find in other parts of Asia, whether it's Northeast Asia, South Asia, or West Asia. And it's this idea, of course, that you rely on the so-called ASEAN way, dialogue, consultation, consensus, self-restraint, but also the key principles that you find in the United Nations Charter, the idea of non-interference and national sovereignty. But I think what's important here is that ASEAN essentially provides a normative foundation. If you want to be an ASEAN member, you're expected to behave in a certain way. And that's where this diplomatic community comes in. A third achievement of ASEAN over the last 50 years is that a group of small to medium-sized countries, the 10 ASEAN countries, have managed to redefine their relations with external powers. Not just the United States, but also, of course, Japan, China, South Korea, India, and so on. And since the end of the Cold War, ASEAN has even gone a step further by very much driving a security architecture in the region and this idea of the ASEAN centrality, which I think is quite worth noting how, again, a group of middle power countries can play that role. This is, of course, the result of its own institutional experience, but it's also due to a lack of an alternative. And ASEAN, I think, has to a large extent been able to benefit from the lack of an alternative to try to lead regionalism in this part of the world. So that's the good news. Conflict avoidance, a diplomatic culture leading to a normative foundation, and finally remanaging relations with external powers, and hence trying to lead an architecture towards some form of regional integration. Now, what are the challenges? And in a way, they are directly linked to the three benefits that I've highlighted. The first immediate challenge that ASEAN still faces is that, yes, it can do conflict avoidance, but it cannot do conflict resolution. It does not have the institutional capacity to resolve disputes. I don't mean just territorial disputes, but pretty much any kind of controversial issue that may pop up in a bilateral or multilateral context. ASEAN is simply not equipped to address that problem. So that's a problem. That's clearly a challenge. And ASEAN is trying to make some progress through its political and security community in that direction. But to be fair and frank, I think right now the glass is half empty rather than half full. A second challenge, which again is directly linked to the first one, is after 50 years of collaboration, you still have a very significant trust deficit among the members. And that's quite worrying. And it's puzzling that after so many years of attempts at cooperation, most Southeast Asian countries still tend to have a sense of mistrust vis-à-vis immediate neighbors. And I would argue, of course, that it is partly the result of not being able to resolve enduring issues. And what's worrying is that in a context of patriotism, populism, which, by the way, we feel in Southeast Asia as well, this mistrust is possibly rising rather than declining at the moment in Southeast Asia. The third challenge is that the ASEAN centrality, so this brings me back to that third positive element, should not be taken for granted. It is far from being guaranteed at this point. Because ultimately it is challenged by two developments, one within ASEAN and one coming from outside. The first is that the ASEAN centrality has always been dependent on ASEAN's strength. And right now, ASEAN does not look very powerful. From within, it is facing a series of domestic and bilateral challenges, which dims the ASEAN voice. In fact, the ASEAN voice right now is probably less strong than it was a generation ago. So making progress on the three ASEAN communities is key to try to kickstart again this process of integration. The second challenge that you have with the ASEAN centrality right now are great power relations and geopolitics. I'm not just referring to China-US. I'm referring to a series of bilateral complex relations, India-China, China-Japan, and so on and so forth, and rising geopolitical considerations. And again, this is an area where ASEAN is pretty much unable to respond, because it is not equipped to respond. It can provide a venue for dialogue, but it cannot, in any way or form, force China and the United States to reach a modus vivendi over how they will develop their relations. Now, finally, on Brexit. I don't know whether I was asked to do Brexit because I'm a European, but I'll give it a go. And here I think I'm going to argue that there are actually very few implications for East Asia when it comes to Brexit, for a series of reasons. But the main reason, I would argue, is never compare the European Union and ASEAN. They are different animals. And they are very different for a very basic reason. The EU is about sharing sovereignty. ASEAN is about strengthening the sovereignty of each of its individual members. So the point of departure is different. And hence, arguing that what happened in Europe could happen in Southeast Asia, I don't see it. Britain would never have left ASEAN because being part of ASEAN does not involve any sharing of sovereignty. And that's what ultimately the Brits were uncomfortable with since the 1970s. So I think that's one reason to think I don't see a parallel. The second reason is that Brexit ultimately was driven by domestic politics in the UK. In fact, it was driven by politics within one party, the Conservative Party. And you have not seen a snowball effect in other parts of Europe. We've had the elections in Austria, the Netherlands, France. It was a typical UK problem. I've lived many, many years in the UK, I can tell you. If you have to absorb the UK media on a daily basis, you would know what I'm referring to. I don't see any party or any country in Southeast Asia feeling the need to call for an exit from ASEAN. So again, I don't see immediate lessons that could be drawn for Southeast Asia. Yet, it does mean one thing. It does mean that the European Union over the next couple of years is going to be even more inward-looking. It's going to be trying to resolve that problem. It's a problem for the EU, it's a disaster for the United Kingdom. And they will have to try to fix that problem over the next few years. So as a result, it's quite likely that less attention will be given to Southeast Asia. Likewise, an EU without Britain may be less open to free trade agreements. So these could have consequences on Southeast Asia. But my message would be the processes of integration are so different that I don't see how Brexit could have really any kind of impact on Southeast Asia. And I'll stop.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that I know the leader. I don't get to be involved except at the end. Thank you very much. I think you've given us a lot of food for thought. So can we invite the others? For 2 or 3 minutes.
I almost share everything that mentioned by the Professor. But there are some points I'd like to try to seek a solution to the problems. First time, I agree that you mentioned that there is in ASEAN there is no mechanism to solve disputes. It's true. But I'd like to remind you that in PAC there is an article that why we don't have the mechanism to solve disputes, but we can create or we can form the council. And the council is represented by all the members of ASEAN and even other parties who adhere to PAC. And the council can have a mandate not to point the finger to which party is wrong or right, but it can discuss how to solve the issues, to maintain peace and development in the region. So it means that why we cannot have a mechanism to solve the disputes, but we can have a way to contain the escalation of the tension and find a way how to manipulate or manage the disputes in the region. My second point is, I agree that the role of centrality for ASEAN should not be taken as granted, because ASEAN is facing the challenges from outside and inside. It's true. It is very true. And I think that to maintain the centrality of ASEAN should be more innovative and more creative in their approach to the issues of South Asia and Asia Pacific. The last point you mentioned about the lessons of Brexit. I agree. But we can also take one lessons from Brexit for ASEAN. It means when the members, we don't compare ASEAN with EU, but we think that when the interest, the national interest of each member cannot serve or cannot, I think cannot receive the common interest of the organization, that may cause some problems or some division. And that division, if you go further, it can threaten the weakening of the organization. That's my comments.
From the non-ASEAN perspective, I would say your principle. Anyways, just one question I'm raised to you. Why do you miss regional integration? Say, I'll tell you one example. Laos. Their project ranking is 1,700. Was the poorest countries among the ASEAN member countries, you should know. But in 2015, 2 years ago, 2.3 million Laotian people crossed the bridge into the Thailand for tourism, for business, whatever it is. One third of the total population. How many more went to neighboring countries like China, to Vietnam, to Myanmar, I don't know. But at least to only take to Thailand, 2.3 million, their project taken 1,700. We tell four countries how they one-third of their population can make a trip to overseas. That is possible. If they have no bridges over Vancouver, no buses, very cheap price, they can go over here. And if easy, no visa assistance. So many things is integration is ongoing here. But if I wonder why you missed your manage the free achievement. And you have challenges. Maybe this regional integration cannot cover the challenge you mentioned in the presentation. So why you miss the regional integration in South Africa and the ASEAN countries?
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for your questions. Again, I do agree with most of what has been said. On the TOC, I would highlight one point though. Having spent quite a bit of time reading that clause of the TOC, the High Council, it does stipulate that all the parties involved in the dispute must agree to activate the clause. I'm not going to make a normative statement. I think it's very logical to ask for such a particular phrasing of the clause. But it has undeniably undermined the ability to activate the clause. Because it is quite common in the context of a conflict to have one particular party preferring not to see external interference. So I think that's important. On ASEAN centrality, innovation, creativity, I fully agree. Brexit, well, I would be careful though with the term national interest, because I tend to believe that it is not in Britain's national interest to leave the European Union. In fact, most likely to be a disaster to their economic interests to leave the Union. I think what's perhaps more important is the idea of losing touch with your population, which what we often call the democratic deficit that you can have with regional bodies, where they tend to steam ahead, but sometimes you do not keep in touch with what the base actually prefers. And I think that's what happened in the context of the United Kingdom. So I think it's perhaps less to do with the national interest of the member countries than it is to do with how those regional bodies are perceived by your wider population. Regional integration, as you would have noticed from my intervention, I'm not an economist, so I can't really assess on the value that ASEAN has brought forward in terms of economic integration. But perhaps my question to you nonetheless is it really thanks to ASEAN that 2.3 million Laotians went to Thailand? It is quite possible that that would have happened irrespective of an organization with a secretariat in Jakarta. I think one element we need to be aware of, either on the plus side or on the minus side, is to always assume that everything derives from the regional body. ASEAN is indeed helpful in some instances, but some other results would have been achieved with or without the availability of ASEAN. And I think here it has perhaps more to do with global production chains, the role of the private sector, which, when it comes to economic integration, I think the private sector probably contributes more than ASEAN. I remember at RSIS we had as a guest Tony Fernandez, the CEO of AirAsia, and that's the point he was making. He was saying, ASEAN, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing my things irrespective of what the association tells me to do, because the private sector will look for profits and generate revenue irrespective of what a particular bureaucracy is telling them to do. So I think we need to be careful, but this cuts also both ways in terms of the negatives. Very often ASEAN gets a bad press for not having done something, but then you really question, is ASEAN really capable or in a position to address a particular issue? So I think there we need to be a little bit careful. Thank you.
마이크 사용하셔야 됩니다.
This very engaging discussion. However, time is upon us. The pressure is so very hard on me. So may I transfer the chairmanship to you again, Dr. Su.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hernandez. And I move to the part 2 discussion. We heard Ambassador Seo's keynote speech in which he explained Korea-ASEAN relations with optimistic views. Nobody can dispute that Korea-ASEAN relationship has been growing in a comprehensive manner. Many indicators illustrated such strong relations between Korea and ASEAN. Economic indicator and the people-to-people exchange indicator and the cultural indicators and shows how close Korea-ASEAN are. But there is also a critical view that the Korean government and the Korean people have yet to sufficiently recognize the importance of ASEAN to Korea. According to this view, the Korean government has not made efforts to commensurate with the status of ASEAN. And the Korean people are short of understanding the importance of ASEAN fully. One of those who have such a view, in my understanding, is Ambassador Lee Sun-jin. He worked hard to raise the awareness of Korea-ASEAN relations in the Korean society. After he retired from his diplomatic service, he has continued to write and lecture on ASEAN at academic institutes. So I will ask Ambassador Lee to lead the discussion on the second part, and will designate Ambassador Nguyen as a following speaker. When I attended the meeting of the Korean Studies Association in Southeast Asia last year, I met with some Vietnamese scholars majoring in Korean studies and was surprised to notice advancement of Korean studies in Vietnam. So I am keen to learn the best Korean's view on Korean-ASEAN relations. And after the two panelists' speech, I will open the floor to other panelists. Don't hesitate, raise your hand and speak. Then, I would like to invite Ambassador Lee to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your compliment. Just 5 minutes?
Yes.
5 minutes? As a time constraint, I outlined my presentation in your paper. I think all of you have my papers. Some part, maybe if I'm still in the government, I can dare to speak out, but as I've been away for 10 years from the ministry, I'm become very courageous to speak out something, sometimes against our government policy line. On bilateral Korea-ASEAN relations, I think it was a repeated touch in previous session, and also touched by Ambassador. So I will repeat it again. Just 2 points. Korea and ASEAN also worked very hard to institutionalize regional integration in East Asia. So we are co-founding member of ASEAN Plus 3 and the EAS and Shanghai Initiative. Usually, ASEAN lead and the Korean support make things good, even against the wishes of China and regional powers. So that's we should not. This is one of the achievements, the result of the bilateral relations between Korea and ASEAN. One more thing is the economy. It also touched this repeatedly in the previous session, but I give you the very concrete specific data. So, for example, in Korea's trade with China is 20% is the largest trade partner in China, but ASEAN is second largest, then third USA and Japan EU. And one more thing that we should keep in mind, our FDI, foreign direct investment, of course, number one, most favored destination, USA, second ASEAN, and the third is China. But I would like to remind you, our investment in ASEAN is greater than our investment in China since 2009. So it's 7 or 8 years already, our investment in ASEAN is more than what we do in China. But usually, if somebody asks, maybe second in China, that's the wrong information. And Korean visitors to ASEAN is, as Peter mentioned, 6 million we went to ASEAN, but we only 4.4 million. So the largest, most favored destination for Korean tourists is ASEAN. So and more there. So I think it's a very excellent excellence in our partnership. But I think it's years to go. So more challenges coming up. There are many challenges is lying ahead of us, but I pick up the two most important. That is the American First agenda. So egocentric policy by the big powers in this region. America, Trump said the America First agenda, and also assertive diplomacy of China. U.S. policy toward China is just Obama, more focused on the South China Sea. Now all of a sudden it moved to nuclear issues in North Korea. What's that means? Still is not clear to me. It's just advocacy, or will be a sustainable policy still a little more. We don't know yet Trump's policy for the Asia. The policy to China is still not clear yet. And about the assertive China diplomacy, you know everything is about it. Just what we are suffering from China pressure is relating to other issues. So some estimation maybe several $billion was we are suffering because of the American and the Chinese sanction due to the third deployment of nuclear Russia. And in the past, like the Philippines and Beichan's suffered also, and Myanmar suffered too. But currently, they focus on South Korea and Taiwan. That is the situation. So how we can keep momentum alive in bilateral relations between Korea and ASEAN? It's a long story, just two points. One is we should get together, Korea and ASEAN get united to raise our voice against the big powers' manipulation. That's my point. To be more specific, I point out here is the ASEAN. We should make early inclusion of the ASEAN. So we should put them, ASEAN member means many, India, China, Japan, Australia is participating in negotiation, but Korea ASEAN lead, as I said. ASEAN lead and Korea support. Then we can bring all the other parties, China and Japan, into make it early conclusion of the ASEAN. Second one is when I was in Seoul leader as a regional forum, it's 13 years ago before I went to Indonesia. ASEAN played an innocent broker's role to bring to Korea's flows and to ease the tensions on the Korean Peninsula. But last 10 years, really, we, America and Korea, United States, pressure on North Korea, only pressure on policies. But now new government of the Korea says is pressure plus engagement. So there are changes in the policy in North Korea. And Trump also is repeatedly saying about this dialogue or engagement in North Korea. So on that occasion, I think it's time for ASEAN to step up and to renew their innocent progress program, what they have used to do 15 years ago. Because it's Korea and ASEAN, even they, at the bottom of our leaders, they won't have some engagement in North Korea, but still our domestic situation. My president just inaugurated just 1 month ago, not this creative environment domestically to speak about the dialogue with North Korea. Particularly North Korea is doing something more provocation. So to stop North Korean provocations and to ease the tensions on the Korean Peninsula, I think it's time we need assess innocent brokers as they did 13 years ago, 14 years ago. Thank you.
And Korea, may I invite you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the same time, I have 3 points to go. Number one, ASEAN-Korea relations has prospered and reached new heights during the last 25 years. Since the sectorial dialogue partnership was established in 1989. In particular, the convening of the ASEAN Republic of Korea commemorative summit in 2014 on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the ASEAN Republic of Korea dialogue relations gave further momentum to the strategic partnership in almost all areas of strengthening of political and security cooperation, promotion of reliable partners for trade and investment, and enhancing people-to-people exchange and mutual understanding. Furthermore, in 2015, it is the year in which the ASEAN community was launched and has become a milestone for the relations to trade yet another leap. The ASEAN-Korea partnership, a partnership based upon mutual trust and cooperation, is now looking forward to another fruitful 25 years in which the two sides go beyond bilateral dimensions and cooperate more closely to address regional and global issues of common interest. Number two, in the international sphere, peace and development of one region is not separable from others. South Asia is closely connected with Northeast Asia. Korea and ASEAN are making joint efforts to establish regional integration and promote peace and co-prosperity in the East Asia region. Through fulfilling its due role in the ASEAN-led mechanisms such as ASEAN Plus 3, East Asia Summit, and ASEAN Vision Forum. In addition, Korea is actively participating in forging the ASEAN-led regional comprehensive economic partnership and is maintaining close cooperation with ASEAN to realize the East Asia Economic Community by 2020. It is an initiative that is put forward by the Korea-led East Asia Vision Group. At present, in my mind, there are three opportunities of development that the Republic of Korea would take advantage of to promote partnership with ASEAN. Namely, the world manufacturer is now moving from China to ASEAN. Retail market potential with 700 million population and GDP target at $9,000 billion by the year 2030. The increasing economic integration of ASEAN economic community and the ongoing focus on regional comprehensive economic partnership which pave the way to new excellent business openings for each and other states in the region. Number three, to facilitate closer cooperation and mutual understanding in ASEAN and Republic of Korea, Korea established its mission to ASEAN in Jakarta in September 2012 and appointed its first resident ambassador to ASEAN in October 2012. The comprehensive cooperation partnership that was agreed upon by the leaders of ASEAN member states and the Republic of Korea provides a wide scope for cooperation between Korea and the ASEAN, namely enhancing political and security cooperation, enhancing closer economic relations, narrowing the development gaps within ASEAN and between ASEAN and the Republic of Korea, enhancing competitiveness and promoting knowledge-based economy, and cooperation in the fields of education, science, and technology. Enhancing mutual understanding, promoting cooperation in coping with emerging global challenges, cooperation in regional and international arena, and deepening East Asia cooperation. And I have every ground to believe that the joint constructive efforts of ASEAN and Republic of Korea are bound to push the comprehensive partnership to the new heights in the time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Nguyen. Actually, time is running out so quickly, and so we have less than 20 minutes to the end of this session. So I just like to take the two comments, and the one comment will not exceed 2 minutes. Okay? So I offer the floor to other panelists.
Oh, if I may, I wasn't sure about the structure of this meeting because I was supposed to give comments later, but I'm happy to offer some thoughts on Ambassador Lee's presentation, if that's appropriate. I fully concur with Professor Lee's presentation, the need to enhance Korea-ASEAN cooperation. And I fully concur with your comments on the advances in regional connectivity that we see within ASEAN today, thanks in no small part to the role that dialogue partner countries have played in enhancing connectivity. On the other hand, I think it is also very interesting to note that intra-regional, or if you will, intra-ASEAN trade, that is to say, trade between and amongst ASEAN countries, has in fact fallen over the years. And I don't know enough about intra-ASEAN investment patterns. I'm not being economist to comment, but if regional integration were to be measured in terms of the levels of intra-ASEAN trade, it would seem to me that one would likely come away with a negative conclusion about regional integration and progress of integration within ASEAN. Do you, sir, foresee in that light a change to this situation? And to the extent, how would an infrastructurally connected ASEAN, because I take your comments on regional connectivity to mean the infrastructural, hence Laotians being able to cross the border into Thailand. Do you foresee improvements in that regard? And also, given your comments about Trump and America First, what opportunities are there for ASEAN economies to be encouraged, if you will, to de-emphasize perhaps trade with outside powers, and to perhaps put the accent on intra-ASEAN trade? Is there any possibility in that regard? So something, I guess, to think about. Would it be appropriate for me to also comment on Ambassador Nguyen's presentation as well, in the light of interest of time?
Yeah.
So if I may, and thank you for the opportunity, I agree with Ambassador Nguyen with regards to your comments, sir, on more dynamic and innovative ASEAN that is needed to overcome some of the lassitude, I think, that ASEAN is experiencing today. And particularly if ASEAN wishes to preserve its centrality, something that we have been discussing all afternoon. But the point that I noted about the sort of weakness of intra-regional trade, it would seem to me that because of these kinds of patterns that ASEAN has with the outside world very successfully, I think that's the reason why ASEAN has been able to grow the way that ASEAN has. But it seems to me that ASEAN centrality is defined in those terms, right? The connections with the outside world, and not so much about the strength of ASEAN's own internal cohesion and unity. So in the light of perhaps increasingly enthusiastic nature of China's attempts to grow the architecture through Belt and Road and through all these other kinds of initiatives, I wonder what your thoughts, sir, would be on whether Korea and ASEAN working together, how can that strengthen the centrality of ASEAN in the context of a rising, seemingly Chinese-oriented centrality. So I guess my thoughts would be, what can Korea and ASEAN do to respond perhaps to increasing Chinese dominance, or indeed if we both agree that Chinese dominance is a good thing, then what can Korea and ASEAN do to sort of ensure that process becomes peaceful and prosperous for the region as a whole? Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much. And so the Ambassador Lee and Ms. Nguyen, and if you have any the response, and I will invite you, both of you, to respond, but very briefly.
Yes. According to statistics of the ASEAN, actually intra-ASEAN share out of the total ASEAN export-import trade outside and I think intra-ASEAN trade, the share is increasing. And investment also, intra-ASEAN investment increasing. Total FDI inward or outflow. So that is true. And one more thing is about to me, in my own experience, there's many unregistered trades in the world. I've witnessed in the trade in all the area. Many, I think, is almost sometimes one customs office mentioned just one tenth is registered customs office. 9 out of 10 is not registered. That is also a reality. Thank you.
I share your observations, and I agree also Professor Emma saying that we cannot take the centrality of ASEAN for granted. And so to prove that ASEAN can maintain its central role to all the issues of South Asia and Asia Pacific, ASEAN should have a more innovative approach. And we should prove that ASEAN is unreplaceable mechanism in our region. To do so, there are many things to do. One of that is that we need a leader. ASEAN needs a leader. That, according to my view, that Indonesia should be our leader. If it's a leader, then because you can easily coordinate. Previously, Indonesia was our leader. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and time is running out. I will return the chairmanship to Dr. Hernandez.
Thank you very much. It's always a problem, the time is pressing on all of us. But this last part will deal with 2 questions, and I hope we can all address these questions. The first is, what were the role and significance of think tanks in the evolution of ASEAN? And the second is, how can think tanks promote regional integration and inter-regional cooperation today? That is, inter-regional means ROK and ASEAN. So I'd like to invite the leader of ASEAN, Indonesia, Ima, please.
Okay, no pressure. Sure. Okay, that's pressure though. Allow me to take 2 seconds to thank you, the Jeju Forum and Ambassador Su for the invitation, and also thank you to the other ambassadors for actually, I think I'm more privileged because I got a personal escort from Jakarta, so, by Ambassador Su, every step of the way. So thank you very much. So actually, in terms of the role and significance of think tanks in the evolution of ASEAN, you are the godmother of that, Professor Hernandez. And so when I saw you chairing this, I'm like, no, she's supposed to answer that question because I'm not saying you're old, and you're not ancient. You're a godmother.
The aging population.
The aging population. No, but that's the thing. It's like you know that history very well. But again, I'm not going to go so much deeply into that because we actually, Ambassador Su mentioned already that it is because of the tattoo and this cluster of CSCAP, ASEAN, ISIS have been kind of pushing forward recommendations, actually pushing forward some of the things that I think the leaders end up taking or not taking sometimes, but yeah, pushing some of the risks out there for the leaders to adopt. So it is a long-standing network of think tanks that continues to work to this day. I sometimes see the ASEAN ISIS network when they meet. It's a mini reunion of sorts of many scholars, and I see the regeneration of scholars as well, and they continue to play a part. But again, I feel that that network really does focus on the political security issues and often on some economic issues. Ambassador mentioned this in the keynote that networks, they continue to be important, and that recommendations from track 2 are always still sought, implementable recommendations, and I don't think this will cease anytime soon, Ambassador. So I think you can rest assured, because I think as much as the ASEAN leaders and people who in different they always say 1,000 meetings of ASEAN. The network also has 1,000 meetings, it seems. So I don't think that will cease anytime soon. I still think that I will see Ralph and Sisei in conferences around the world speaking on ASEAN and again pushing some of the issues forward. However, I think now it's evolved a little bit. There are now more think tank networks. It's not just dependent on the ASEAN ISIS, the CSCAP, and that network anymore. There's now more new think tanks being formed, networks being formed, in particular those that are thematic based. And newer think tanks also established since the late 90s, including our very own Hanbi Center. As states began to open up, there were more think tanks being established and institutions being established. So they have now come to the front as well in providing recommendations. And again, I think it's more thematic. For example, the Hanbi Center is part of, we're part of a network of ASEAN think tanks that are not within the ASEAN ISIS network, slightly outside. But we operate in a different way, and we push the issues a little bit further. We are not also, because we're independent, not saying that the others aren't independent, some to varying degrees, I guess. We kind of can push some of the issues a little bit further, kind of teetering to the challenging ASEAN way, challenging slightly a bit of the sovereignty issues, but because we're tracked to, we can do that. But again, also on thematic issues, there's a network of think tanks on sustainable development. There's a network of think tanks on social entrepreneurship. We're currently very much involved and very relevant, and I wish we could have a whole, I think there is a session on this in particular, on countering and preventing violent extremism. I just returned from Kuala Lumpur, where we're part of that network of think tanks that are working on issues of violent extremism. And it just so happens coincidentally that we're meeting that Marawi happened and Kampung Melayu happened in Jakarta. So these things are I think becoming more relevant as think tanks are now working. And again, not just the evolution of the types of think tanks, but also what is expected of them. Again, traditionally think tanks are expected to conduct just policy research and influence public decision making, and and through the research analysis and everything. But now that's also evolving in the way, particularly in the way information is now being received. Think tanks are starting to venture not just on producing policy briefs, producing papers. It's now venturing into new media. We have think tanks now creating video vlogs, creating YouTube channels, because now the influencing decision making is not just being able to sit at the same table with the policymakers, but also being able to sit down with the young generation, with people who tweet more than they should, and actually create policies by tweeting and doing that. So now also goals have shifted of think tanks. It's not just producing policy; it's creating influence on policy making through targeted and strategic activities. Gone are the days of just roundtables and panels. Now we try to engage a lot more strategically. We try to reach and engage with a wider audience. Think tanks are now expected as well to be able to answer the question that constantly is being asked by the public as to what is ASEAN? What does ASEAN do for me? And increasingly coming from the youth of the question, where is my role? Where do I fit into ASEAN? So think that we're now actually expected to be able to help answer those questions. And again, also an audience that doesn't read papers as traditionally, accessing information via this, by handheld devices, smartphones, making sure that your papers, your policy papers aren't more than 3 pages PDF, making sure that you provide a hard copy as well as a PDF copy. Those are the things that we now have to think about. And funding, all of these issues I think are creating think tanks. Even the classic think tanks are beginning to evolve as well. And governments are also beginning to evolve. Now the governments are also, as I said earlier, utilizing social media more than ever, and being part of that kind of, the way we get information is definitely changing how think tanks play a role. Now, how think tanks can promote regional integration into regional cooperation? I actually want to bring back a little bit of what was mentioned in the previous panel in the last session with the journalists on this issue of. I wanted to comment, but I thought I'll reserve it for this session. Using it was mentioned about Hallyu and Korea, ASEAN, how part of I think the panel slightly dismissed Hallyu as let's go someplace more serious. Let's take the conversation more seriously. But actually, I'm actually doing a joint paper with a Korean researcher right now to see where actually Hallyu can promote. It starts a conversation because oftentimes we need to start that conversation, and in particular with the increasingly evolving audience that we have, we need to start being able to start conversations. And I think, again, through cultural promotion, and I continue to say that we need to take a page out of the Korean handbook on cultural promotion, because that starts conversation. It might not solve the South China Sea issue, but it starts, oh God, how I wish that would. But it can perhaps start a conversation on issues, because you have people, because again, the way governments, the way our leaders, the way decision makers are making decisions now is very much dependent as well on what the public think. And what the public think is like, if you don't like Korea, you might not, why are we doing things with Korea? We don't like Korea. And again, the way culture is being promoted, it brings Korea into, it's favorable to younger generation. It's not seen as something threatening, So I think there are ways, call it soft diplomacy, call it whatever it is, but I think we dismiss this too much, too often when we look. And so I actually applaud what Korea is trying to do in terms of how they're trying to enhance ASEAN-Korea relations by promoting culture. The efforts that they're putting forward in enhancing the social cultural cooperation. I think where it is, and I think think tanks need to jump on board on that. I think think tanks do play a role in that, bringing. I think it was said before in terms of Brexit. How do we bring people into the fold? How do we bring the base into the fold? I think that's the way it is, because you need to be more relevant. Currently, I love what people say is like, it's amazing what Korea does to enhance awareness of ASEAN in Korea. Darn, we need to enhance ASEAN awareness in ASEAN. And I continuously say this because I live in Jakarta, and if anybody has been to Jakarta, they would, if you jump into a taxi and say ASEAN Secretariat, the taxi driver will look at you as like, because not everyone knows, and the taxi driver is like, and then I was like, oh, it's across from the Attorney General's office. Oh yeah, then we know, or like near Block M or whatever. And it's not necessarily that they would automatically know where ASEAN Secretariat is, and that's just like a taxi driver. I would just go, even my own institution, we're a think tank, we have a whole section that does ASEAN studies. It does not necessarily my receptionist might not know everything about ASEAN as well. And so this whole issue of ASEAN awareness has to start with something that can capture their interest first, and then go forward. So I think think tanks need to diversify a little bit more without decreasing, of course, the quality of analysis on that would have input to suggestions, recommendations that are implementable.
I will comment on.
마이크 끄셔야 돼요.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I will comment on Ima's remarkable remarks. Before I call him, and then I will call him first. I'm sorry that the time is really pressing hard on us. I wish we had more time.
Thank you very much, Professor Hernandez, and Emma, as always, scintillating presentation. I think you've touched on a lot of the key issues, particularly the evolution and change in terms of think tanking activity. But just hearing what you had to say, particularly with regards to the emergence of new networks, new agendas, new activities, use of social media, new forms of media. I'm intrigued to ask you the question of whether you see this proliferation of new energy and new activity. Do all these things contribute in a positive way to specifically ASEAN regionalism? Because we are ultimately talking ASEAN here, and you made a couple of comments to that effect, I think, in your presentation. I wanted to just push you a little bit more on that. Or indeed, do they undermine ASEAN in some ways? Because I think from Ralph's presentation, always one gets the sense that ASEAN is becoming, I think, overrun in some ways. It's missing out on a lot of things that are happening, the bottom-up processes that are taking place within Southeast Asia. And so in that light, I'm wondering how you see the new think tanking activity. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, okay. In short, no, not contributing so much. Partly because actually those think tanks operate outside of the ASEAN organization, and also as Ralph put it, actually despite what ASEAN is doing, you have the spirit of ASEAN that sometimes doesn't have the ASEAN as an organization, as an institution, their participation, because we work outside the formal gates of the corridors of ASEAN. Because ASEAN as an institution, in the formality, the secretariat doesn't allow us to penetrate that. It's so much. I mean, again, it boils down. When I was listening to Ralph's achievements and challenges, I'm just hit by that. Yes, exactly. I mean, he hit the nail on the head on achievements and challenges. And one thing that I have to say is sometimes a lot of these developments happen despite what the challenges are, because you have farmers network working together, and then again, because they're not part of the ASEAN institution, they're not recognized, and you don't know what those achievements are. You have civil society, again, the civil society network on preventing violent extremism. You have that, but they don't have a cute acronym, within the ASEAN structure, working group, as alphabet soup it is, that it already is. We don't have a cute acronym for within the ASEAN network as to what we're doing. So because we're not part of the ASEAN structure, but it happens anyway, and we use that spirit of being in the region, that we want to do something in the region. So is it positive? Is it negative? I guess it's up to us to judge as well.
Any other points other people would like to make before I sort of like to try to give my concluding remarks? One point, yes.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Question. Jeju Forum will host this kind of meeting next year also?
And I try to be very brief, as long as I remain in this position, and I try. So.
Question, and I echo a lot of what Ima was saying. My question to you is, where ultimately are you more credible as a think tank now? Within or outside of this ASEAN establishment? Because listening to you, I feel that you can probably do much more by being outside and by looking in, rather than by being inside and trying to look out. Just a thought.
A little bit, sorry, if I may, a little bit of both, because we tried to work within the structure, but then it just, we wanted to run 100 miles an hour, and they said, they told us, oh, slow down, 20 miles an hour, so we said, okay, you do your 20 miles, and we'll do our 100 miles outside, but if everyone comes, so every single event, every single activity that we do, we invite the ASEAN structure. We invite everybody that, any stakeholder within the ASEAN Secretariat, we invite. We make sure that they have that option to participate. So we try not to exclude them. So sometimes we get to the conclusion that they exclude themselves. Whether or not we're credible, I think credibility, I think, is a different question. For us, we're trying to ensure that, because I guess in a way we're optimistic. We want people to believe in ASEAN, so we were trying to get more people to basically buy into the idea. So we try to engage them in whatever way we can. So if that doesn't include the ASEAN Secretariat, we don't say that it doesn't include them, but we try to engage them anyway. So it's kind of like, a one-sided love affair.
It's time. Is it time to conclude? Okay. Thank you very much for this particular session, Dr. So. I hope that next year there will be another one like this, and you will invite other than ASEAN ISIS, because truly, I have so many points to say, but I just have to address some of the issues that are in my mind at the moment. Number one, I have always thought that it would be important for ASEAN ISIS to open the network. And it's not because of the fact that we don't know everything. The ASEAN ISIS people do not know everything. And even if we did, it's not good that we are very exclusive. I have always argued in favor of widening and expanding, because we can always learn from the wisdom of others. We cannot presume that we know everything. We don't. I like also the points that were raised by our Korean friends. Thank you so much. We need these encouraging messages from our friends around the world at this particular moment in time when ASEAN is so much challenged. And one of the things that I heard Ralph said is the institutional capacity. We don't have it. But why don't we have the institutional capacity? I think there is a basic reason behind this. And if we are able to find out the basic reason behind this, maybe we can answer also the issue about centrality and others that are challenging ASEAN right now. So I'm sorry that we don't have time to invite the rest of the members of this session, but I hope that some of us have been able to provide you with new information. And I can tell you that being present at the creation, as Ima has always been referring to me, is a curse. Because there are so many things that I know that if I told this publicly, there will be more people that will not like me. Thank you.